A heartwarming memory of the cute little courtyard with a pink cat beside the fence of the small courtyard lived a soft pink kitten named Meng Mengs. Meng Meng's fur is like crushed cherry blossoms, pink and fluffy. Her round face is set with bright blue eyes. Her tail is long and thin. When she walks, it wanders gently. She always hums a song, meow meow meow. Her owner sister always says Meng Meng is the little sweet girl in the little courtyard. She is cute in appearance and even softer in heart. One early morning, the little sparrow Choo Choo accidentally fell from the tree. Its wings hurt a little and it couldn't stand up. Meng Meng heard the chirping and gently ran over, carefully touching the chirping with its soft paws. Then it carried a clean fallen leaf and laid it under it. Meow Tilda, don't be afraid. Meng Meng squatted beside and waited until Juju gradually steadied herself. Shoo Shoo flapped her wings and said, "Thank you, Meng Meng. Your claws are gentler than cotton." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, little hedgehog Kuki couldn't find a shady spot and lay on the ground listlessly. When Meng Meng saw this, she quickly ran to the loofah tact and pushed aside the thick leaves with her body, as if setting up a small pink pergola. "Kuki, come and enjoy the cool here." Kuki crawled under the pergola. As soon as the cool breeze blew, she immediately perked up and bent over, saying, "Thank you, Matt. It's even more comfortable here than under the shade of a big tree, and there's also a sweet fragrance of flowers." At noon, little Aunt Guagu and her friends were carrying sugar grains. Halfway through, they were blocked by a small puddle. Guagu was so anxious that she kept spinning around. The sugar grains were about to melt under the sun. Meng Meng ran over with a smile, gently resting her tail on the puddle to form a small tail bridge. "Guo, follow me across." The little ants lined up and crawled over along their fluffy tails. Guo waved her antennae and said, "Thank you, Meng Meng. Your tail is more stable than a small plank." In the afternoon, the little boy Lely from the neighbor's house came to play in the small courtyard. As soon as he saw the pink Meng Meng, his eyes lit up. "Wow, this little cat is so cute, like a pink fluffy ball." Lele gently squatted down. Meng Meng meekly rubbed against his palm and pushed her favorite little ball of yarn in front of Lele. Lele clapped her hands happily and said, "Meng Meng, you are so considerate. Let's be friends." Meng Meng meowed a meow as if saying, "Great, great." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky and it seemed that it was about to rain. Meng Meng thought of the little snail Meng Meng living in the corner. Its shell was afraid of being soaked by the heavy rain. Meng Meng hurriedly ran to the corner and used her body to block the snail's little nest as if holding up a small pink umbrella. When the raindrops tick-tock fell, they slowly hid under Meng Meng and said with a smile, "Thank you, Meng Meng. Your body works better than leaves." I didn't get wet at all. The setting sun dyed the small courtyard a warm red. The friends gathered in the yard and held a small sharing session for Meng Meng. The little sparrow brought fresh grass seeds. The little hedgehog shared sweet wild fruits. And Lely brought Meng Meng's favorite dried fish. Meng Meng was lying in the middle, her pink body shining gently in the setting sun. She said, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone." The owner's elder sister smiled and said, "The cute pink fur is adorable, but a kind and gentle heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, Meng Meng lay in her warm little nest, recalling the funny thing she had done for everyone today with a smile on her lips. Because of the pink cat Meng Ming, this small courtyard has become warmer and more lively. Such days are more delicious than dried fish and more endearing than the fluffy pink fur. The farm adventure of brown chicken Gugu. Beside the chicken coop on the farm, there is a fluffy brown chick hopping round. Its name is Gugu. Gugu's feathers are like light brown fluffy balls. Its round eyes are black and shiny. Its small pointed beak is red. Its claws are thin but very powerful. When it runs, it rolls around like a little fluffy ball, making a da-da-da sound. The mother chicken always says Gugu is a little warrior on the farm. It's not very brave, but it always loves to help everyone. That early morning, the ducklings, unable to find the direction of the pond, were spinning around in the yard. Gubu hurried over, flapping her little wings and saying, "Gagaz, follow me." It led the little ducks through the vegetable garden, around the pile of firewood, and all the way to the pond. The Guggers jumped into the water with a plop and shouted to Gugu, "Thank you, Gugu. You are such a reliable little guide." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, the little ants carrying breadcrumbs were so exhausted that they lay on the stones, gasping for breath. When Gugu saw this, he quickly ran to the shade of a tree and blocked the sunlight with his body, as if holding up a small brown pergola. "Little ants, come and rest." The ants hid under the pergola and licked the grass seeds that had fallen on Gugu's body. The team leader waved his antennae and said, "Thank you, Gugu. It's even more comfortable here than the shade of leaves." At noon, the little owner Duwadwa's bow fell into the crack of the chicken coop. She was so anxious that she was on the verge of crying. Gugu heard the crying and quickly crawled into the crevice. With her small pointed beak, she carefully picked out the bow and gently placed it in front of Duwadu. Duwadu held the bow and smiled, patting Gugu's head. "Thank you, Gugu. Your little pointed mouth is more dexterous than a small pair of tweezers." In the afternoon, dark clouds drifted over the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Gugu remembered the corn kernels drying in the yard. If they got wet, they wouldn't taste good. It hurriedly ran to the corn pile, proclamated its body against the bamboo basket, and called the mother chicken with a cooing, cooing, cooing sound to help carry the corn into the warehouse together. When the raindrops pattered down, the corn was already safely in the house. Grandpa Farmer smiled and said, "We Gugu are so capable." In the evening, little hedgehog Cookie came to visit the farm, but couldn't find her way home. Gugu quickly raised his little voice and made a goo-goo sound, leading Cookie through the path all the way to the farm gate. Cookie bent over and said, "Thank you, Gugu. Your cries are more effective than road signs." The setting sun dyed the farm a warm yellow. The friends gathered around the chicken coop and held a small sharing session for Gubu. The little duck brought dried fish, the little ant brought breadcrumbs, and Duadwo brought sweet millet. Gugu pecked at the millet, its round eyes shining. It said, "I'm the happiest when I can help everyone." The mother chicken smiled and said, "The brown feathers are cute, but the brave and warm-hearted heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, Gugu lay beside the mother chicken, listening to the whispers from the farm, feeling warm in her heart. Because of the brown chicken Gugu, this small farm has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more delicious than sweet millet and more endearing than the fluffy body. A heartwarming story of the little frog croaking in the pond on the lotus leaf by the pond. There squatted a little green frog. Its name was Guakwa. Guaskin is smooth and it wears a camouflage coat of dark green with light spots. Its big eyes are round like black grapes. Its hind legs are strong and powerful. When it jumps, it makes a guagua sound and can also splash into the water to swim. The frog mother always says, "Guagua is a little guard in the pond, lively and enthusiastic. All its friends love to play with it." That early morning, the little ladybug Dion Dion accidentally fell into the pond and was spinning around on the water surface. Guagua heard the cries for help and quickly jumped over. Using a wide lotus leaf as a small boat, she gently rowed to Dion Dion's side. Dion Dion quickly climbed onto the lotus leaf. Dion Dion climbed up the lotus leaf along Guagua's back and, after sitting steadily, said, "Thank you, Guagua. You are more reliable than a small boat. You saved my life." In the morning, the sun made the pond warm. The little ants carrying sugar grains were so exhausted that they lay still on the stones. Guagua jumped into the water and splashed cool water with her hind legs, scattering it around the ants. Little ants, come and cool off. The cool water splashes immediately perked up the ants. The team leader waved his antennae and said, "Thank you, Quack. Your water spray is more comfortable than a cool spring." At noon, little butterfly Saiski AI came back from collecting honey, her mouth dry and she couldn't find any dew. Guagua remembered the morning dew on the lotus leaf and quickly jumped onto a big lotus leaf, gently swaying it to let the dewdrops fall in front of TSI CAI. CAI, come and have a drink of water, Sai. Sai licked the sweet dew, regained her strength, and flew around Guagua twice. "Thank you, Guagua. Your dew is sweeter than nectar." In the afternoon, the little boy Lele from the neighbor's house came to play by the pond, wanting to catch a little tadpole to observe, but he just couldn't catch one. When Guagua saw this, she called out Guagua to guide the little tadpoles to swim to the shore and gently pushed one of them into Lele's small net with her hind legs. Lele said happily, "Thank you, Quack. You are such a considerate companion. The little tadpoles are so cute." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Guagua thought of the little cricket Lele hiding in the reeds. Its little nest was unobstructed. Guagua quickly jumped into the reeds, using her body to shield herself from the wind and rain, and called out Guagua to remind Lele to take shelter. When the raindrops pattered down, Lele hid behind Guagua and said with a smile, "Thank you, Guagua. Your body works better than leaves. I didn't get wet at all." The setting sun dyed the pond orange red. The friends gathered beside the lotus leaves and held a small sharing session. The little ladybug brought nectar, the little ant brought sugar grains, and Lily brought breadcrumbs. Guagua squatted among the lotus leaves, its round eyes shining in the setting sun. It said, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone." The frog mother smiled and said, "The green dress is so cute, but the brave and warm-hearted heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, Guagua squatted on a lotus leaf, listening to the croaking of frogs in the pond, feeling sweet in her heart. Because of the little frog croaking, this small pond has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more pleasant than sweet dew and more dazzling than green lotus leaves. The Slow Joy of the Pond by Little Turtle Tunton. In the muddy ground by the pond, there was a slow little turtle crawling. Its name was Tunton. Tunton carries a deep green hard shell with neat patterns on it, like a small armored house. It has 4 short and chubby legs. It climbs up slowly and always stretches its long neck to look around. The turtle mother always says Tunton is a little patient in the pond. He is slow in nature, but has a very warm heart. That early morning, little shrimp Mengman got her tail entangled by water plants and was so anxious that she was flapping around. Tunton slowly crawled over, carefully bit open the water plant with his sharp little mouth, and said softly, "Meng Meng, don't worry, I'll help you." Meng Meng broke free from the water plants, wagging her tail and saying, "Thank you, Tunton. Your mouth is more dexterous than a small pair of scissors. It saved me." In the morning, the sun rose slowly, making the stones feel warm. Little ladybug Dion wanted to find a place to rest, but was afraid of burning her little feet. Tun quickly lifted his shell slightly, as if propping up a small green pergola. Dion, come and cool off under my shell." Dion climbed onto the hard shell. The cool touch made it relax immediately. Flapping its wings, it said, "Thank you, Tun. Your shell is more comfortable than the shade of leaves." At noon, little Aunt Guago was carrying biscuit crumbs with her friends. Halfway through, they were blocked by a small ditch. The ditch was not wide, but the ants couldn't cross it and were running around in circles in anxiety. Tunton slowly climbed over and lay his body across the ditch. The hard shell turned into a steady little bridge. "Guagu, come along with me." The little ants lined up and slowly crawled along the patterns on the shell. Guagu waved its antennae and said, "Thank you, Tunton. Your shell is more stable than a small plank." In the afternoon, the little girl Duardwo from the neighbor's house came to play by the pond and noticed the slow Tunton. She squatted down, watched it crawl gently without touching its shell, and whispered, "You crawl so slowly. How cute." Tun seemed to understand. He stretched his neck and shook it, crawling even more vigorously. He even deliberately climbed to the side of a small wildflower, allowing each one to smell its fragrance. Duardo smiled and said, "Tantan, you are such a considerate companion." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Tun thought of the little cricket lily living in the crevices of the rocks. Its little nest was prone to water ingress. Tun hurriedly climbed over and used his hard shell to cover the crevices of the stone, as if he had built a thick little stone slab. When the raindrops tick-tock fell, Lele hid in the crack and said with a smile, "Thank you, Tuk. Your shell works better than leaves." I didn't get wet at all. The setting sun dyed the pond an orange-red. The friends gathered around Tantan and held a small sharing session. The little shrimp brought fresh plankton, the little ladybug shared nectar, and Duardo brought clear water. Tantan lay in the middle, its hard shell shining gently in the setting sun. It said, "Although I crawl slowly, I'm the happiest when I can help everyone." The mother turtle smiled and said, "Tuntun's shell is very strong, but his patient and warm-hearted heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, its light shone on the pond. Tuntun, carrying the small house on his back, slowly crawled back into the muddy ground. Because of the little turtle Tuntun, this small pond has become gentler and more reassuring. Such days are more pleasant than sweet nectar and cuter than hard shells with patterns. Sweet memories of the little bee buzzing in the garden. In the sunlit garden lived a tiny bee, and everyone called her Buzz. She has a coat of yellow and black fur, like wearing a striped little coat. Her wings are transparent and thin. When she flies, they buzz, 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 like a small helicopter nimbling among the flowers. Buzzing's favorite thing is to collect nectar. She knows which rose is the most fragrant and which rose patch is the sweetest. She also turns the collected nectar into sweet honey and shares it with her friends in the garden. That early morning, Weng had just picked the first drop of nectar from the morning glory when she heard a soft woo cry. It was little butterfly Dion. It was her first time in the garden, and she couldn't find the most fragrant flower. Her wings were tired from flying, and she still hadn't smelled the satisfactory fragrance. She was so anxious that she stopped on the grass leaf and wiped away her tears. Weng hurriedly flew to Dion's side, shook his antennae and said, Dion, don't worry. I'll take you to find the most fragrant flower." She took Dion and first flew to the pergola filled with wisteria flowers, then to the golden sunflowers. Every time they reached a flower, she let Dion smell its fragrance. Dion smelled the sweet fragrance of flowers and immediately smiled. "Thank you, Weng. Your nose is more sensitive than a little bell. These flowers are so fragrant." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, Lele, a little ladybug in the garden, was looking for aphids on the leaves to eat. But after searching for a long time, she couldn't find them, and her stomach was growling with hunger. When Weng was gathering honey, he happened to see many aphids on a leaf. He quickly flew to Lele's side and pointed in the direction with his antennae. Lele, come here quickly. There are many aphids over there. Lele followed Wang Wang and flew over. Sure enough, she saw a dense swarm of aphids and happily ate them. She also shook Wang Wang's back shell and said, "Thank you, Wang Wang. You are truly my little food guide. I'm finally full." At noon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor's house came to the garden to draw. She wanted to draw a glowing flower, but after drawing for a long time, she still felt it was not vivid enough. Wang Wang was passing by while collecting nectar. Seeing Duadwo frowning, he quickly stopped on the most colorful rose. Flapping his wings gently to blow the fragrance of the nectar towards Duadwo, he also crawled around on the petals, allowing Duadwo to clearly see the patterns on the petals. Duadwo suddenly got an inspiration and began to draw based on the shapes of the rose and Wang. After finishing, she held up the drawing paper and smiled at Wang, saying, "Wang, look, there are sweet flowers and you in my painting. How beautiful." It buzzed twice, as if clapping for her. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Buzzing, I recalled the little daisies in the corner of the garden that had just bloomed. Their petals were still very tender and would wilt if they got wet by the rain. She hurriedly flew to the window of Grandpa Zhong, the garden keeper, buzzing and from time to time flying towards the little daisies. Grandpa Zhong understood the meaning of buzzing and quickly brought a small plastic shed to cover the little daisies. Just as it was covered, raindrops began to fall with a drip, drip sound. Grandpa Zhong waved at Wang Wang and said, "Thanks to Wang Wang, the little daisies didn't get soaked." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the garden orange red. Buzzing returned to the beehive and, together with his friends, turned the nectar collected today into sweet honey. She also specially brought a small drop of honey and flew to Dion Dion, Lala and Duo Duo's side. Dion Dion tasted the honey and flapped her wings even more joyfully. Lele licked the honey and thought it was sweeter than an aphid. Duodwo spread honey on the small cookies and ate with a smile that narrowed her eyes. Buzzing looked at everyone's smiling faces, her heart filled with sweetness. Suddenly, she felt that gathering honey was not just for herself. Sharing the sweetness with friends was happier than enjoying it alone. When the moon rose, Buzzing lay in the beehive, listening to the chirping of insects outside. Recalling today's efforts to help Dion Dion find flowers, point out delicious food for let's draw pictures with Duodwo, and remind Grandpa Zhong to protect the flowers. The corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up. It turns out that even a tiny bee can, through its own diligence and enthusiasm, become a sweet little messenger in the garden, bringing the fragrance of flowers and joy to every friend. Such days are sweeter than sweet honey and more beautiful than transparent wings. The tentacle magic of the little octopus Duodwu in the blue seabed. There lived little octopuses named Duwadvu. She has 8 tender pink tentacles with round suction cups on them. When she swims, they look like little ribbons floating around. But Duwadwu always feels that there are too many tentacles. She might knock over shells when tiling them and get tangled up when wearing skirts. In the early morning, Duwadwu was picking up shells among the corals when she heard the little seahorse Yoayu shout, "Oh dear!" Yoayu's tail was entangled by water plants. Duwadwu swam over, stretching out 2 tentacles to untie the water plants, and then used another tentacle to help Yoayu straighten the crooked bow. "Thank you." While expressing his gratitude slowly, a strong cry of a little crab came from afar. "My shell house has been washed away by the waves." Duwadwu swam over immediately, and all 8 tentacles came into action. 2 held the shells, 3 cleared the sand, and 3 helped Duanguangguang lay out the stones. Soon, the shell house was firmly established. Zhuangzhuang held up the shell and said, "Your tentacles seem to have magic." Duwadwu shook her tentacles and suddenly didn't find it troublesome anymore. At this time, the clownfish came to invite her to play bubble catching. Her 8 tentacles could catch several bubbles at the same time, making her the bubble little champion in the ocean. The setting sun shone into the ocean floor, and Duwadwu waved her tentacles as she swam with her friends. Her heart was sweet, so her tentacles weren't a trouble, but a little magic that could help everyone. The laughter from the seabed, accompanied by the bang-bang sound of bubbles, drifted far away. The big, strong pincers of the little crab on the beach by the sea, there lived a tiny crab named Zhuangzhuang. He has 2 round black eyes and a pair of big pincers. When he walks, they sway horizontally, like a wobbly little lantern. Zhuangguang always felt that his pliers were too big. When playing games, he often accidentally pinched his friends, which made him a little sad. That morning, Zhuangzhuang was sighing behind a rock when he suddenly heard a woo cry. It was Dodo, the little hermit crab. His shell had been washed into a crevice of the rock by the waves, and he just couldn't reach it. Zhuangzhuang immediately crawled over, trying to reach it with his little paws. But the gap between the stones was too narrow, and he simply couldn't get in. What should I do? Dudu was so anxious that she burst into tears. Zhuangzhuang looked at his big pliers and suddenly came up with an idea. "Don't panic, I'll help you." He carefully inserted the large pliers into the crevice of the stone, gently clamped the edge of the shell, and slowly pulled it out. 1 to 1, 1 to 1. Zhuangzhuang exerted all his strength and finally pulled out the shell. Dudu held the shell and happily spun around. "Zhuangzhuang, your big pincers are so powerful." At this moment, the little turtle also swam over and said, "Zhuangzhuang, can you help me open the shell?" "My little paws can't be bent." Zhuangzhuang nodded immediately and gently pinched the shell with his big pliers. With a click, the shell split open. When the sun was setting in the west, Zhuangguang sat on the reef, looking at his big pincers. Suddenly, he felt that they were no longer in the way at all. It turns out that one's own minor flaws might just be a great ability to help others. The laughter on the beach, accompanied by the sound of the waves, gently drifted far away. The ice and snow adventure of little penguin Dodo on the ice field of the Antarctic. There lives a little penguin named Dodo. He has a round white belly, black back feathers as if painted bright, and short legs that wobbles. When he walks, he looks like a rolling little tongyan. Every time he goes to the seaside with his friends to look for fish, he always falls behind. Dudu always feels a little embarrassed. That early morning, as soon as the sun gilded the ice field, the flock of penguins set off to fish. Dudu followed the group, when suddenly she slipped and fell into a small ice hole. He flapped his little wings, trying to climb up, but the ice was so slippery that he couldn't reach the edge no matter how hard he tried. He was so anxious that he made a quack quack sound. Dudu, don't panic. The penguin Duardwo in front heard the sound and immediately ran back. She lay on the ice surface and stretched her round body to the edge of the ice hole. Grab my wings quickly. Dudu quickly grabbed Duardwo's wings. Duardo pulled hard backward. The penguin Zhuangzhuang beside her also came to help, using his back to support Duardwo's body. Finally, Dodo was pulled up. He shook the ice chips off his body and said sheepishly, "Thank you all. It's all my fault for walking too slowly." Duardwo smiled and shook her head. "We are good friends. Let's go together." Later, when fishing, Dodo found many small fish hidden in the ice crevices. He quickly called Duardwa and Zhongguzhang over and shared the small fish he had found with everyone. When the sun was setting in the west, the three friends were walking back in a line. Although Dodo still walked slowly, with the company of her friends by her side, she felt that the wind in the South Pole had become warmer. It turned out that helping each other among friends was even happier than walking fast by oneself. A stream trip with a small paper boat, little boy Amin folded a small paper boat. The boat was light blue, with a small maple leaf pasted on the bow as decoration and a smiling face drawn at the stern. Amin put it into the stream in front of the door and said softly, "Little paper boat, go and see the distance." The little paper boat drifted along the stream. Just as it passed a big rock, it saw the little Aunt Dodo standing on the shore, spinning round anxiously. "My breadcrumbs fell into the water. Those were for Mum's dinner." The little paper boat quickly stopped, gently caught the breadcrumbs floating over with its hull, and said to Dodo, "Come up quickly. I'll take you to the other side." Dudu climbed onto the boat, holding onto the breadcrumbs tightly. The small paper boat drifted steadily to the opposite bank. After seeing Dodo off, the little paper boat continued on its way. Suddenly, a gentle breeze blew, sending the dandelion fluff that had fallen on the water surface flying around. Little butterfly Lele's wings were entangled in the fluff and she couldn't fly. She was so anxious that she flapped her wings straight. The little paper boat swam to Lele's side, let her land on the bow, and then slowly drifted towards the calm water, helping her shake off the fluff on her wings. "Thank you." Before Lele flew away, he kissed the maple leaf on the small paper boat. When the sun was about to set, the small paper boat drifted to a reed marsh. Amin was standing by the shore waiting for it, still holding a newly folded small paper boat in his hand. The small paper boat gently docked. Amin held it in his hands and said with a smile, "It seems that your trip today must be very wonderful." The smiling face of the little paper boat looked even warmer under the setting sun. It turns out that a trip with kindness can bring so much joy. The sweet promise of the little bees buzzing. There lived a little bee in the garden, buzzing. She wore a small yellow and black coat. When her wings flapped, they made a soft buzzing sound. Every time she collected honey, she would fill her small honey sacks up and take them home to share with the bee colonies. That early morning, Weng Weng carried the small honey bag to collect honey again. Just as it landed on a sunflower, I saw the little butterfly lily spinning round anxiously. "Buzz, my pollen bag is broken. I can't send pollen to the morning glories. What should I do?" Weng Weng immediately stopped collecting honey and said, "Don't panic. I'll help you." She used her hind legs to pick up sunflower pollen and carefully sent it to the morning glories. She also sewed a pollen bag for Lely. After Lely thanked him repeatedly, Weng Weng continued to gather honey. She flew over rose bushes and lavender fields, and her little honey sack was soon filled with sweet nectar. When passing by the ants' home, she saw them carrying breadcrumbs larger than herself, sweating profusely. Buzzing quickly put down the honey sack, pushed the breadcrumbs to the hole for the ants, and gave them a small spoonful of nectar. "Try this. It replenished your strength." When the sun was about to set, Buzzing went home with a full honey sack. The queen bee tasted the honey she had collected and said with a smile, Weng's honey is the sweetest." I buzzed my antennae and felt sweet in my heart. It turns out that working hard to gather honey is very enjoyable, and helping friends can bring double the sweetness. Little Rabbit Rongs. Carrot surprise on the grassland by the forest lived a little rabbit named Rong. She has snow-white down with a light touch of powder on the tips of her ears. When she runs, her ears bounce back and forth like two little floating clouds. Her favorite thing to do is to go to the back mountain to look for sweet carrots. That early morning, Rong was walking back up the mountain with a small bamboo basket. Just as she passed around the dandelion grove, she saw the little hedgehog Kuki squatting on the ground, sighing. Kuki wanted to pick strawberries for his mother, but the small thorns on the strawberry vines always caught his back. Rong quickly put down the basket, carefully pushed aside the strawberry vine with her soft paws, and helped Kuki pick a full bunch of red strawberries. "Thank you." Rong Kuki was holding strawberries, her eyes shining brightly. Rong smiled and continued to look for carrots. Finally, in the sunniest place, she found a lush green carrot field. She pulled out one, took a small bite, and the sweet juice immediately filled her mouth. Just as I was about to pull out a few more, I suddenly remembered that the rabbit grandma next door had bad feet and couldn't go out to look for food. Rong Rong immediately filled the bamboo basket with carrots and sent it to Grandma Rabbit's home first. Grandma Rabbit stroked Rong Rong's head and handed over a sweet Maltose. "Rong Rong is so good. Here's the candy for you to eat." Rong Rong shook her head, broke the Maltose in half, left one half for her grandma and put the other half in the basket. When I got home in the evening, Rong Rong's basket was filled with carrots and half a piece of Maltose, followed by Cookie, who came to deliver strawberries. Two little friends were sitting on the grass, enjoying sweet food while watching the sunset. Rong Rong felt that the carrots today were sweeter than ever before. It turned out that thinking of others and sharing happiness were the happiest things. Sweet memories of the carrot and orange vegetable garden in Grandma's vegetable garden. There is a lush green carrot. Among them, the thickest and reddest one was named Orange Orange by Grandma. It was dressed in an orange-red tight-fitting suit with a smooth skin and fine lines. On its head were 3 tufts of emerald green tassels, like 3 small green braids. When the wind blew, they swayed gently, as if greeting passing butterflies. Orange grows in the soft soil. Every day, it drinks the morning dew and basks in the sun. Gradually, it becomes crispy, sweet, and juicy. Even the little ladybug lying on the vegetable leaf knows that this carrot must be particularly delicious. That early morning, just as Orange was moistened by the morning dew and shone brightly, it heard a rustling sound. It was the little field mouse Lely. It had come out of its hole to look for food. After searching for a long time, it only found a few shriveled seeds, and its stomach was growling with hunger. Lely smelled the sweet fragrance on Cheng Chang and followed the scent to dig to the edge of the soil, but he didn't dare to dig hard for fear of damaging this beautiful carrot. Orange quickly shook the green tassels on her head and said, "Lely, don't be shy. I can give you a little to eat." Grandma happened to come to the vegetable garden to pull out radishes. Hearing the noise, she gently pulled Orange out and also cut a small piece of carrot for Lely. Lely held the diced carrot in its hands, took a bite, and the crispy and sweet juice spread in its mouth. It happily wagged its tail and said, "Thank you, Orange. Your flesh is even more delicious than the seeds. I'm finally not hungry." In the morning, the sun gradually rose higher. The little snail in the vegetable garden slowly crawled on the leaves. After crawling for a long time, it couldn't find a shady place. Its shell was warm from the sun and felt a bit uncomfortable. Slowly climbing under the orange-green tassels, I suddenly felt much cooler. The 3 tufts of green tassels were like a small green umbrella, just right to block the sunlight. Slowly lying on the soil, he shook his antennae at Orange and said, "Orange, Orange, Orange, your green tassels are so comfortable. It's cooler than leaves. I'm not afraid of the sun anymore." Chen Cheng shook her body, covering the green Yingzi more tightly and asking her grandma to water it a little, bringing a touch of coolness to Meng. At noon, Duadu, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the vegetable garden to help her grandma with the work. She immediately saw the carrot in her grandma's hand and her eyes lit up. "Grandma, this carrot is so red. It must be extremely sweet." Grandma smiled and nodded. She washed the oranges clean, cut them into small pieces, and placed them on a plate, sprinkling a little sugar on them. Duadwo picked up a piece and put it in her mouth. The crispy and sweet taste made her squint her eyes. "It's so delicious. Orange is sweeter than an apple. I'm going to take it to my good friend Lele to have a look." She carefully put the remaining carrot chunks into the small box and specially brought along the orange-green tassels, hoping that Lele could see this little green umbrella. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Chen Cheng remembered the little aunt Guagu living in the corner of the vegetable garden. Their holes were unobstructed, and rainwater would seep in. Orange quickly asked her grandma to put her green tassels beside the anthole. The green tassels were like a small green cushion, just covering the hole. When the raindrops pattered down, Guago poked his head out of the hole and waved his antennae at Cheng Chang. "Thank you, Cheng Chang. Your green tassels are more effective than pebbles. The hole isn't wet at all." Looking at the anthole being safe and sound, Orange felt sweet in her heart. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the vegetable garden orange red. Grandma cut the oranges into thin shreds and made a vegetable salad with cucumbers and lettuce, adding sweet salad dressing. Duaduo and Lely gathered around the dining table, sharing salad together. They took one bite after another and ate very happily. Lele said while eating, "This is the most delicious salad I've ever eaten. It's all because of Orange." Grandma smiled and patted Duadwo's head, saying, "Actually, sharing makes the salad sweeter." When the moon rose, the vegetable garden was quiet. The orange-green tassels were placed by Grandma in a small flower pot by the windowsill, like a tiny green plant. Duabu lay on the bed, recalling the events related to Orange today, and gradually fell asleep. In her dream, she seemed to see that orange-red carrot again, its green leaves swaying in the sunlight, giving off a sweet fragrance. Because of Orange, this small vegetable garden became warmer and sweeter. Such days were even more wonderful than the crisp and sweet flesh. It's even brighter than an orange-red tight-fitting suit. The yellow beetle's bright exploration of the grass in the lawn of the community. There is a particularly eye-catching little beetle hidden. Everyone calls him Liang Liang. He was dressed in a golden carapace, as if wearing a small coat woven with sunlight. The edges of the carapace still had a faint luster. When the sunlight shone on it, it could cast tiny golden spots on the grass leaves. Liang Liang has 6 slender, short legs. He climbs fast and steadily, and can also climb up flexibly along the grass stems. Standing at the top of the leaves, he looks out. The friends in the grass all say Liang Liang is the little sun in the grass. Following him, you are sure to find something fun and delicious. At that early morning, Liang Liang had just finished gnawing at the sweet dew on a clover leaf when it heard a soft woo-woo sound. It was the little caterpillar Ruin. It wanted to find its mother, but the rain last night had messed up the path among the grass leaves. Ruin was spinning around in the same place, unable to even tell the direction. Liang Liang quickly climbed to Ruin's side and deliberately pointed his golden shell towards the eastern sun, allowing the sunlight to cast a small band of light on the ground. Ruin, don't worry. Follow my shell light away, and the direction where the sun rises is where my mother often goes. He crawled a little slower to allow Ruin to keep up. His golden carapace stood out conspicuously among the green grass, like a moving little signpost. It wasn't long before the call of the caterpillar mother came from afar. Ruin threw herself into her mother's arms and turned back to shake her body at Liang Liang. Thank you, Liang Liang. Your shell is brighter than dewdrops. I won't get lost at all following you. In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. Guogu, a little ant in the grass, along with her friends, was looking for breadcrumbs. But they searched for a long time without finding any. Guogu saw Liang Liang lying on the dandelion, basking in the sun, and hurriedly ran over. Liang Liang, can you help us find breadcrumbs? Your eyes are bright. You can surely see it. Liang Liang nodded and slowly climbed along the grass stem, his eyes carefully fixed on every corner of the grass. In no time, he found a small crumb of bread hidden under a fallen leaf. He gently pushed the leaf aside with his shell, and the crumb was exposed. Guogu happily called her friends over and gave Liang Liang a small crumb of bread. Thank you, Liang Liang. Your eyes are sharper than our antennae. We finally have something to eat. At noon, a little girl named Duadu from the community came to the lawn to do her nature observation homework. She squatted on the ground, trying to find a brightly colored little bug to draw on. But after looking at several of them, they were all green or black, which made her look a bit listless. Suddenly, she saw a golden streak moving on a blade of grass. It was Liang Liang. His golden shell sparkled in the sunlight, and Duodwo immediately fell in love with it. She quickly took out the drawing paper and began to draw carefully in front of Liang Liang, deliberately making the luster of the shell shine brightly. After finishing the drawing, Duodwo gently touched Liang Liang's shell and said, "Liang Liang, you are so beautiful. I'm going to stick your drawing on the exercise book so that the teacher can have a look too." Liang Liang crawled around Duodwo's drawing paper as if saying, "Thank you so much." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Liang Liang thought of the little ladybug Dion, living under the mushroom umbrella. Its back shell was cracked a little by the wind yesterday, and it was afraid of getting wet from the rain. Liang Liang quickly climbed to the mushroom umbrella and gently covered Dion's back shell with his golden carapace. Although his carapace were small, they could block the tiny raindrops. Dion hid under the shell and shook the spot at Liang Liang. "Thank you, Liang Liang. Your shell is like a little shield, stronger than mine. I haven't got wet at all." Hardly had he finished speaking when raindrops began to fall, drip, drip, drip. It was not until the rain lessened that Liang Liang, along with the raindrops, climbed under a large lotus leaf to take shelter from the rain. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the lawn orange red. Liang Liang was lying on the largest blade of grass, surrounded by Ruan, Guago, Diandian, and Duat. Duodwo brought Liang Liang a small piece of sweet apple. Guago shared the breadcrumbs she found. Diandian was also lying on Liang Liang's shell, basking in the sun. Liang Liang was munching on an apple, looking at the smiling faces of his friends. The golden shells were shining warmly in the setting sun, and his heart was filled with sweetness. Suddenly, he felt that there was nothing wrong with his shell being a little yellower and his size a bit smaller, being able to help Ruan find her mother, help Guagu find breadcrumbs, be Duodwo's little model and shield. Dion from the rain was much more interesting than just basking in the sun in the grass. When the moon rose, Liang Liang hid in a closed morning glory, and its golden shell looked like a tiny golden gem under the moonlight. The lawn was quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze caressing the grass leaves. Because of Liang Liang, this small lawn became more and more lively and warm. Such days were sweeter than sweet apples and more beautiful than golden shells. The cherry-red leaves are sweet memories on the tree in Grandma's yard. There is a not-so-tall but very lush cherry tree. Its branches are laden with bunches of small cherries. Among them, the reddest and brightest one was named Hong Hong by Grandma, red and round, a little larger than marbles. She wore a bright red coat with a faint luster, as if smearing a layer of sweet honey. There was also a thin green handle on her head, which swayed gently in the wind, like a small lantern hanging on a branch. When Hong Hong is not ripe, it is green. Once it has been exposed to enough sun, it will gradually turn red from the tip and eventually become fully red and lustrous, giving off a faint fruity fragrance. Even butterflies flying by can't help but stop on the branch to take a sniff. That early morning Hong Hong had just been moistened by the morning dew and shone when she heard the anxious Gigi sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow. It had been flying for a long time, its stomach growling with hunger, but it couldn't find anything good to eat. Shu landed on the cherry branch and smelled the fruity fragrance on Hong Hong. Its eyes lit up immediately, but it was afraid that its little paws would knock Hong Hong off and dared not approach. Hong Hong quickly shook the green handle on top of her head and said, "Shoo, don't be shy. The fragrance on my body is inviting you." Shu carefully pecked at a small mouthful of the red flesh. The sweet and sour juice spread in its mouth. It happily flapped its wings and said, "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your flesh is sweeter than nectar. I'm finally not hungry." In the morning, the sun rose slowly and the dew on the cherry tree gradually dried up. The little snail under the cherry tree was slowly looking for the sweetest dew, but after crawling for a long time, it only found a few slightly astringent leaves. Slowly smelling the red fruit fragrance, I climbed up the tree trunk slowly and waved my antennae at Hong Hong. Hong Hong Hong, do you know where the sweet dew is? Hong Hong pointed at the leaf beside her. There were still a few drops of shiny morning dew on it, carrying a faint fruity fragrance. Slowly lying on the leaf, taking small sips of dew and shaking its shell at Hong Hong. Thank you, Hong Hong. Your dew is much sweeter than the one I found, and it even carries your fragrance. At noon, the little girl Duodwo from the neighbor's house came to play at her grandma's. She immediately saw the reddest cherry on the branch. Hong Hong and her eyes lit up. Grandma, this cherry is so red it must be extremely sweet. Grandma smiled and nodded, brought over a small stool and asked Duodwo to carefully pick off Hong Hong. Duodwo held Hong Hong in her palm, reluctant to eat it right away. She whispered to Hong Hong, Hong Hong, you are so beautiful, like a tiny ruby. She took Hong Hong to the cherry tree and sat on a small stool with her grandma. She took a gentle bite, and the sweet and sour juice spread in her mouth. Duodwo smiled and narrowed her eyes. It's so sweet. Red is even more delicious than candy. I'm going to pick a few more for my parents to taste. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Hong Hong thought of the little ladybug Diandian living under the cherry tree. Its back shell was a little cracked, and it was afraid of getting wet by the rain. Hong Hong quickly asked her cherry friends, who had not yet been picked, to shake the branches. Using the rustling of the leaves to remind Dion heard the sound and quickly climbed. To the branch hanging in front of Hong Hong, this cherry leaf was big and green, just right to keep out the rain. When the raindrops tick-tock fell, the dots lay under the leaves and shook the spot in the direction before Hong Hong. Thank you, Hong Hong. Your reminder came faster than raindrops. I didn't get wet at all. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the courtyard orange red. Grandma washed the cherries she had picked and put them in a plate. Duodwa and Grandma gathered around and also invited Juju and Mang Mung. Mung Mung was lying on the edge of the plate to have a sharing session together. Grandma picked up a cherry and said with a smile, "Look, the tiny cherry can not only fill your stomach but also help friends and bring happiness." That's the sweetest part. Duodwo nodded half understandingly and picked up another cherry. Today's cherry seemed sweeter than usual because it was filled with red warmth. When the moon rose, the yard was quiet, and the remaining cherry branches were still swaying gently. Although Hong Kong was eaten, its sweetness remained in Duodwo's mouth, and its enthusiasm stayed in Juju and Mongmang's hearts. When Grandma was clearing the plates, she carefully collected the red fruit pits, planning to plant them in the yard next year. She knew that next spring, new cherry saplings would sprout here, growing new reds, continuing to spread sweetness and joy in the yard. Such days were sweeter than the flesh of the cherries and more vivid than their red coats.